So, good evening, everybody. I hope you are all doing fine. How was your week? How is your journey going? How is your open source journey going? How is your tech journey going? I hope it is like it's going well. So, we have our instructor in our midst, Mr. Ayo Kayode. You guys should react now. You guys should react now. So we have our instructor here, Mr. Ayo. So I'll just read like um a bit about him. So Mr. Ayo here is a DevOps and a cloud engineer, and he's also a technical writer. Like he has a couple of published articles on Medium where he talk about his experience as a cloud engineer and his experience as an open source contributor. So he has also contributed to some projects like OpenStack Community, Bifrost, and so on. So help me welcome Mr. Ayo Edwin Kayode. So you have the floor, sir.
Yeah, hi everyone. Good evening. Like Adija rightfully said, my name is Zayo. If you don't want to react for me, I'll react for myself. Thank you very much. uh, so yeah, uh, really happy to be here, and also big ups to sorry, hold on. Big ups to Open Source Nest. Um, I think this is very wholesome of them to take out the time to have this session be held. Uh, I remember when I started my open source contribution. I don't think I had any um, platform that was quite straightforward with how to go about contributing to the process. So big ups to them. Yeah. So like she rightfully said, I'm a cloud and a DevOps engineer. I have experience working with um, AWS, Azure, and OpenStack. Um, yeah. So going forward with this session, I'll be more focused on OpenStack because I think most of the time there is enough, and rather there are enough resources to go into majority of the public cloud providers that we have. But going into open source communities and cloud communities, I don't think it's that easy to just get resources for this. So yes, I'll be going into um, OpenStack community to educate us more on uh, cloud, cloud, and the OpenStack, or sorry, the open source side of things. And, if you're new to open source, if you want to be a contributor to the OpenStack community, I think this is the best place for you to be right now. So I'll be dividing my session on two parts, which is one would be for giving an introduction as to what OpenStack is and the services involved when using OpenStack. And the other session will be just a short hands-on demo on working with the tools that we have for OpenStack. Yeah, so to begin with, you might think, what exactly is OpenStack? I don't know how many of us have heard of OpenStack before. You can react if you have. If you haven't, that's still fine. Yeah, so OpenStack is an open source cloud and provider. Why is it open source? It's open source basically because all the services, all the software being used can be found on the internet. It's not quote unquote privately owned by any company or agency. So this is something that you yourself can browse on the internet. You can see the codes, you can see what exactly makes it work, how it works. You can also contribute to it. And yeah, while going forward, I don't know if it's just me. When I started contributing to open source softwares, there's this mentality that you need to be very technical, you need to be very, uh, you need to be very technical. Yeah, you need to know all the languages, or rather, the language that a community might use. You need to be very well, you need to be well versed with it. And I'd like to say no. Uh, you don't need to know it all before you can actually contribute to a community. And that I think that's the beauty about open source. You don't really need to know A to Z before you can actually make impact. You can come from different ends to actually be meaningful in open source. You can come from a technical side. Yes, you can know the code, you can do all that. You can come from a technical side because you know people that are coding, to be very honest, they are not really we. I don't say we because um, yeah. So, but the people that actually write majority of the codes for these platforms, they are not really the best in explaining what exactly this code might be. It might be too technical. You understand? It might be too technical in explaining, you know, to people that are trying to, use their software. They might be too technical in explaining these things. So that is where we have technical writers come in because they are the ones that will take this technical data that they have and will simplify it for anybody that wants to join into the community. So yeah, you can start from there. You can be a technical writer and all that before going into the technical side of things. So yeah, okay, yeah. Like I said, moving forward, I'll be speaking on rather what OpenStack is and the tools. And I won't be so broad because OpenStack is very broad. There are various technologies, various services that even I myself am not so fully conversant with. So I'll be focusing majority of this class as to the things that I have worked with and how I have, contributed with, working with these things. So, like I rightfully said earlier, OpenStack is a cloud, it's an open source cloud provider. Uh, the same way you have AWS, you have Azure, you have Google Cloud. That is also the same way you have OpenStack. So you might have it in mind. Since we have, uh, sorry, since we have, you know, AWS, we have Azure, we have Google Cloud. Why exactly do we need OpenStack? Why exactly do we need OpenStack? And yeah, I'll be giving us a few points to really understand why we need OpenStack. So first of all, uh, I'll talk about first of all data privacy. So uh, so what I mean by data privacy is there's AWS, there's Google Cloud. So the idea is when you deploy an application on these clouds, uh, I don't know if majority of us have used most of these public cloud services. You get to choose you get to choose the region that you want your app deployed in. You get to choose where your data gets to reside. And there are companies that they don't want this. They don't want anybody having access to their data. They don't want anybody, and regardless of how you'd say yes, it's secured, it's private, and all that. There are companies that are uh, very clear on where they want their data to reside, and there are even government policies that once you're a company working in a social country, and you must ensure that all your everything that you're working on, data that you're collecting from company, from rather the people patronizing you from the company, sorry, from the country, they don't want this data going to any other country. They want everything to reside um, in the vicinity that of the country that you are working with. So that is where OpenStack comes in. With OpenStack, if you have if you have your own servers, if you have your own instances, you can deploy your application to those servers in your in your area. So the data is not necessarily getting breached by anybody. Nobody is managing your data. You are not managing uh, data by yourself. So OpenStack makes use of services that ensures that doing this doesn't become too complicated for you. It helps you with the majority of the technical things. It helps you to manage this data, and also it provides you direct access to your servers. And what I mean by this is majority of the time when you use public cloud providers like AWS and the likes, there's this thing called a virtualization layer. So what that basically means is, let's say for instance, I have an application now, and I want to deploy this application. So AWS now have, let's say, a very big server. So with this very big server now, you're not it's not possible to carry your data and your data will be the one on that server alone. No. There are there are layers. There are layers where different. It's just rather to just make it simple. It's just like having a big house now. AWS is that big house. So instead of you renting the whole building, you're just going to rent an apartment in that building. So you're not necessarily owning the apartment. You're just renting an apartment. There is an apartment A, apartment B, apartment C, and apartment D. So you're not necessarily owning all the building itself. You're just renting an apartment. But uh, with OpenStack, you don't necessarily need to do this. With OpenStack, you can deploy your application directly and own the building. You're not renting. You're not a you're not a tenant. Basically, you're the owner. So you're not renting an apartment. You're owning the whole thing. And still, that still applies to the fact that your data at the end of the day is still going to be private because nobody is managing your data for you. So you're going to be managing your things yourself. So yeah, moving on. Working with OpenStack. Um, like I said, OpenStack is a very big community. So there are various services in it. There are services for storage, there are services for networking, there are services for instances, and there are services for communication. So uh, what I majorly focused on while coming into this community, I focused on what they call Bifrost and Ironic. Yes, Bifrost, Ironic. So sorry. So basically, let me just start from Ironic. So basically, what Ironic is basically a service in OpenStack that helps you manage um, your servers. It helps you manage your servers. So sorry. Yeah, so it helps you manage your servers. So unlike AWS, where there is virtualization, the rental and everything, with Ironic, you're owning the building, you own the servers. So sorry, with OpenStack, you own the servers, so you manage the whole thing. So with Ironic basically helps you, the user, manage the server. It helps you. It's basically a means of you of helping you to interact with these servers. Yes, basically a way to help you interact with these servers. So why would you use Ironic? So with Ironic, you get full control. Yes, you get full control. So from CPU, RAM, storage, and likes, everything is under your control. Uh, and yes, why this is the plus is due to the fact that you get to run very powerful processes like AI, machine learning, things that involves in database. These are things that eats a lot of inputs and out. Sorry, it eats a lot when it comes to processing power. So you need something that provides you very strong underlying control. So with Ionic, you get this control. Um, I don't want to go too deep because you know, this is like an introductory class. And yes, so how exactly does Ironic how exactly does Ironic talk to exactly does Ironic talk to these servers? There's something on each server. It's called a BMC, basically a baseboard management controller. So Ironic interacts directly to this BMC. It interacts directly to this BMC. It makes use of there are certain technologies that have been created by the OpenStack community that is being used to talk to it. It's written with Python. So one of those services is called Redfish. So with Redfish, so Ironic, collects your command, what you want to do, converts it to your Redfish request. So from Redfish, it interacts directly to the BMC. So once it interacts directly to the BMC, the command that is, in Ironic will be carried out. So the thing is, you cannot access Ironic directly. You cannot just open your system and say you want to use Ironic directly. You need to make use of another service to in a way automate the way you work with Ironic. I don't know if I'm making sense. Am I making sense? Can I get a reaction to see if I'm making sense? Am I going too far ahead? Okay, great. So you cannot interact with you cannot interact with your servers directly. Hi, Peter, you said come again. What do you need me to explain, please? It's like typo or okay. How does it interact with the BMC? So it makes use of something called redfish. It makes use of, I will drop. I really don't want to go too into all this. I just want to give you like an overview of everything because it's a bit too technical. And I really just want to focus on how you can get started because these are things that you learn along the way. It's not something that you just drop into. I don't know. I don't know if you get. Yeah, but just have it in mind that it makes use of redfish. Redfish it's a program on its own that was created by the OpenStack community. So it facilitates the interaction with your server. Hence, talking to EMC, which is the baseball management controller. So how do you use Ironic? So ideally, Ironic it's not just a service that you can use alone. You get it. It's a service that works with other OpenStack services like we have Nova. Uh, oh, sorry. Uh, yeah, we have Nova. We have your IPMI for your networking and the likes. So, so yeah, it's something that you cannot really use alone. You need to use it with other services. But there are situations where, for instance, now where I am focused on now, there are situations where you don't want to use Ironic with other services. You want to test Ironic. You want to see how exactly does Ironic, you know, communicate with BMC. You want to know how it works. So you don't want to. install Ironic, install storage, install. You want to just test Ironic. So that's where another service called Bifrost comes in. So Bifrost basically helps you to work with Ironic as a standalone service. So basically, you don't need to install other services that are quote unquote necessary to use Ironic. You don't need to install them. Rather, you can just with Bifrost, you can just use Ironic to test how exactly does it interact with your server. And most of the time, Bifrost is majorly used just for testing. It's used for testing. Um, the specific community that I'm in now, they are usually focused on Bifrost. So Bifrost and Ironic, sorry. So they are the ones in charge of testing how exactly does Ironic work, how exactly does Bifrost work, how do we make this better, how do we uh, how do we make this better, how do we see exactly the problems that people are facing. So through Bifrost, they're able to test Ironic while not having whole OpenStack services installed. Uh, okay, yeah. So hmm, sorry, 1 minute. And one more thing, do we have students? Are there students here? Can you like just react? Let me see. So, students, recent graduates, all that. Okay, I want to be very, I want to be very real with uh, everybody here regarding, you know, um, tech in general. So I don't know. I don't know if it's Nigeria, but we really don't. Uh, we really don't have this. We don't have this community when it comes to um, open source. When it comes to the opportunities that are open source. Majority of the times when you hear open source, it's just I don't know, I think I've heard of Google Cloud, this cloud program that they have, and like we don't really, uh, we don't really say much regarding open source. So yeah, while I'm doing this, I would really like to talk about an opportunity that I think would be really, really beneficial to not just graduates, um, people that are also in school and the likes. I don't know, has anybody here heard of outreaching? Anybody? Outreaching? Yeah, I don't know. Has anybody here applied before? Why? Like, can I just have somebody speak with me for a bit?
Of course, you can.
Yeah. So who
I
wants to do?
actually,
Anybody? Anybody wants to have an interaction quickly, just to brief everybody about what outreaching is. I don't see. You want to say something?
Yes, I've applied for outreaches before.
Yeah. Have you been accepted before?
I've been accepted.
You have not.
Yes, I've not.
How many times have you applied?
Just once, I started like exploring open source this year. I tried that
Can
out.
can you come again? I can't hear you.
I said that I've applied just once. That's this year.
Mm. And you were not accepted.
Yes, I wasn't.
Uh, okay. Uh, yeah. So basically, if we don't know what outreach is, I think, is one of the best thing out there right now because regardless, people will say this, people will say that they don't accept people, they don't do this, they don't do that. But the thing is, uh, outreach has structure. So basically, outreach is a program that helps open source open source softwares, open source communities to provide opportunities for people in other countries to get more conversant with open source softwares. And why I'm saying this is because prior to Outreach, I don't think I've had any experience with open source because, like I said before, it's not really there's really no structure. There's really no it's not really out there to it's not really out there on how exactly do you apply and what are the open source like I don't think I've ever seen much on. But yeah, that aside, yeah, why I'm talking about Richie is the fact that though I myself I have not actually been selected for outreach before for the internship though I have done some of the contribution phases and I really like the fact that you get to work with like a lot of big companies, a lot of big names out there. You get to work with, you get to even if you don't work, you get to contribute to um, an open stack, even in the open stack that I'm in right now. You get to contribute there, you get to contribute to Wikipedia, you get to contribute to GitHub, you get to contribute to like a lot of things, a lot of like it's so broad and sometimes it's very like I just feel so somehow that these are informations that a lot of people don't really know. A lot of people don't really know. Mm. But that aside, though, I think we have like an idea of what um, OpenStack is, Bifrost is, and what Ionic is. We have an idea of it, right? It might not be so technical, but we understand what exactly they do. What is what? Can I get any reaction with it? We have an idea of what these services are. Okay, yeah, I think this would be more clear. And one side go into the hands-on section. I don't see. You said a what? What do you mean by this?
You asked the question like I didn't get it well.
Can you come again? I can't hear you.
I didn't get the question you were asking very well.
So I asked if we are all like in line, like if we understand, you know, we got the basic on.
Okay, I'm following. Thank you.
Oh, Peter, you did not get the rest too well. That's fine. I think when we get into the hands-on session, it should be a bit more clear. I think this is my favorite part. I really I don't have I don't think I'm the best when it comes to that's fine. That's fine. APK. That's fine. Uh, yeah. It was all new to course at one point. So, yeah. So let me get into the demonstration. I think this is where things should be a bit more clearer. And, okay. Um, sorry. Let me just set up my VS Code. Let me share my screen. Hi. So can we see my terminal? Great. Yeah. So to begin with, and while still strengthening my point on, really don't need to be so technical about. Uh, you don't really need to know it, or rather, before you can contribute. When I started, I was making use of my laptop to um, basically run the the softwares, and I was having issue with it. So I had to I had to make use of an EC2 instance. I had to make use of an EC2 instance. There were a lot of clashes with I think with the local setup that I had with Bifrost services. They had a bit of um, clashes or something like that. So let me just quickly do this. Okay, so yeah, hold on. Okay. So like I said before, you we don't use Bifrost for production level workloads or anything. We basically use Bifrost to test Ironic. So Ironic is a service that interacts with your server. So how exactly do you interact with your server? How do you automate this process? That is where Bifrost comes in. And Bifrost it enables you to make use of Ironic separately. So you don't need to install all the whole services all the whole uh, softwares that you need to use ideally when you're using Ironic in the production level environment. So the first thing, oh, I'm not connected to my server. Okay, like I said, I was using um, my local environment to do this, but I was having issues and everything. So I had to I had to move to I had to move to AWS to make use of an EC2 instance to do all this. So the first thing you need to do, or the first thing I'll do now is to just connect to my instance, and the instance is already running. It's already running. So I just need to connect back to it. So sorry, I'm trying to get details on instance. So okay, so mm, here's the details for my instance. I think most of us, we know we know how to connect to our remote instance, to our remote servers, SSH into our remote servers. Are we conversant with this? I don't know. Do we know this? Okay, let me just flip. Uh, so the apps update. So ideally, when you create an instance, it's ideal to update your instance with you know, all the services running on it. They should be updated, so you don't have any outdated packages that might cause issue for you later on. So yeah, uh, so with that out of the way, the next thing to do is you clone Bifrost. So remember, the only reason why we are using Bifrost is because we want to have Ironic as a standalone service. We want to test Ironic. We want to see how exactly it works. How does it interact with our servers? So after cloning Ironic, clone Bifrost, go into Bifrost. So let's see. Wait. Okay, so we just have the master branch here. Um, this is just a test and this is, I won't be changing the branch. So yeah, so the thing is you cannot test you cannot use Ironic. Rather, you cannot use Bifrost and Ironic on actual servers because this is for testing. This is for testing. So we cannot use them for actual servers. So what we need to do, and also sorry, I want to share I want to share my I don't want to just share this page. I want to share my whole screen. So you see the document I'm using to do this. Somebody raised their hand. Hi, Chisanya. You want to say something? Mr.
Yeah,
Sir.
good evening, everyone. Can you hear me, Ayo?
Yeah, I can hear you. Good evening.
Okay. I apologize for the late coming. And why I actually raised up my hand is because I'm a little confused on what's going on. So I wanted to if you can just do a recap so I can be attuned with what people are saying,
Hmm.
or if I'm too late.
I don't know. I
Okay.
can, but I don't know if Okay, I can just do that along the way. Okay, there's a recording actually.
Okay, there is
Trying to share my whole screen. So it's sharing. I can see myself. Great. Um, yeah. So this is the official. Uh, this is the official document on Bifrost. So this is where when I got started, this is where, mind you, and when I started, I went through the outreach program too. So they gave us a bunch of things to use, things to read, so we can understand what exactly we're going to do. So this is the first thing we were told to read on, which is Bifrost, which is Bifrost documentation. You want to work with ironic. So working with ironic, we need to make use of Bifrost since we want to test. This is not like an actual production level task. So it's something to test to see how exactly you can improve ironic. So yeah, so the first thing is to uh, you know clone the Bifrost repo. There's a stable branch, but we're not going to be using that because even when I was working with ironic, even when I was contributing, we were not using the stable branch. They're using the current branch that they were working on. Okay, so the next thing is to testing on virtual machines. Like I said, we cannot use Bifrost Ironic on actual servers. This is just a standalone result. So we will be using this on virtual machines. So if you want to do this, if you want to use virtual machines, you need to prepare a test environment, which is the easiest way is via the Bifrost CLI. Great. Mm. Yeah. So I think we'll copy this Bifrost CLI test environment. So we do this. So what this basically does is to create a test environment. It creates a test environment for us. While creating this environment, it installs necessary Bifrost packages. So we could make use of Bifrost to work on our this. Yeah, and another thing apart from using the Bifrost CLI, you can also make use of uh, this might take a while. I think I've forgotten how long this thing was. Apart from installing, apart from using the Bifrost CLI, you can also make use of Ansible because under this Bifrost CLI, makes use of Ansible for automating certain tasks, certain things that Ionic does. So it makes use of Ansible to do this. And as you can see here, it's installing Ansible. Wow, this may actually take a while. How did I forget how tasking this thing was? I think I have another server that has Bifrost nodes. Let me check. really don't want to waste so much time on this. Let me check if I still have my other instance instead of wasting time installing all the dependencies again. You can just use this. Yeah, another thing, it might seem like uh, all the commands that I'm using, everything is running so smoothly. It was not like this. It was not like this. We had to during the contribution phase. Then we had to test. We had to test the commands, which one were working, the issues we were getting. You know, before we got what you're seeing here, that it's going to look now like all the commands are working and there's no issue and all that. Some it was not like that. Sorry. Mm, let me do this. I think this server that I have here already has Bifrost on it. So yeah, it does. So um, I don't think there is any need using this because as you can see, it's creating the virtual machines and everything. So it's going to take a considerable time. It's going to take a long time before it gets done. I would not like to waste so much time on that. Uh, so just have it in mind that the command that we just ran on the other terminal, which was to install um, the Bifrost CLI, has already run. So that's aside. And another thing is why I was saying that you don't really need to know it all before you can contribute. Okay, so the thing is when I was testing the commands, when I got to this point, because the next step that I need to take now is to install, is to install additional Bifrost services into the text environment. So this command I have here, this command oh so sorry, 1 minute. Hmm. Yeah, sorry for that. So ideally, we have, uh, you know, the first step was to install the Bifrost test environment. So this will create test environment that Bifrost will use. So this next command is to install the services into the test environment. That is why we have this attached to the command for installing, Bifrost CLI. So the beauty of this is, during the period when I was initially contributing, this was not there. I can remember clearly, this was not there. So I had to, make this change. I had to carry out this contribution. Let me even check. Let me check. So, okay, this is my profile. Where You don't need to focus on all this yet. Mm, mm. There should be one more. Where's the rest? Yikes. Mm. It's not here. Sorry. I really just want to, but this is like, it should be like an evidence to like really just open our eyes that you don't really need to know it all. You don't need to be so technical before you can actually begin your contributions. You can contribute as you learn. You can contribute as you learn. You know, your experience cannot really be taken from you. Eh, sorry. Okay, okay, I'm not muted. I thought I was muted. So your experience cannot really be taken from you. So, you know, the level that you're in, the problems that you're facing, somebody else cannot experience that problem for you. So you yourself, you need to experience it. You need to experience it, and they want you to experience it because they cannot experience it. So once you experience it, if you talk, when you talk about it, in a way, you are solving a problem that somebody else might have. I don't know if I'm making sense. You're solving a problem that somebody else might have. So yeah, I'm trying to. Yeah, so this is Outreachy. Um, um, these are the projects. This is everything. I don't know. Really don't know how I should. I should, because this is an entirely different topic to talk about. There's something I'm trying to get there. Okay, this is it. Um, yeah. So this is the code side of things for this thing you saw here. Oh no, this is not. Sorry, let me check this. Yeah. So as you can see, it- there was no install. There was no install on this. There was no install on this. So there was no way to actually install the services in the test environment. I had to be the one to, go through the stress of, trying different things before, I had to raise it up that, hey, this thing is not working. The services that are supposed to be in the Bifrost CLI environment, they are not there. So, it was along the way of me learning that, I was able to make this contribution. So you don't really need to, be conversant to know everything before you can make your contributions along the way. And this does not necessarily apply to just outreach. It applies to OpenStack. It applies to any open source community that you're in. Along the way, your own experiences might create something for you that you can use to, raise a topic, raise something of concern that okay, this is what is going on, this is this. And see, it got merged. So this is a contribution on its own. It might be small. You can say it's just an install text. It's nothing before. Had it been I did not go through this problem, had it been that, I did not go through this stress, that issue would have been there. Somebody else will still face it. Another person will still face it. And, a solution might not come. So I have done it now. I have solved this. Nobody can take it from me. This is a contribution. So that is how contribution works. you can contribute along the way as you're going through the session. So, did this even go through? Oh, it did. Let me just use this. So we just installed Bifrost CLI. So the next thing to do now is to install. Sorry, we just installed Bifrost CLI. The next thing to do now is to install the services. This is another command to install the many services that Bifrost CLI uses. And mind you, we are doing this in the test environment. This is very important. So it does not install on your actual machine. It installs in the test environment that was initially created in the other command. Skipping does not matter. Let's see if I can run to this in this order. Yeah, so while let me just make use of the new environment instead of just using this is already done, so there's nothing really there again to take you on with along the way. So okay, aside from that, so before coming to what do they call it? Before using this AWS instance, because I initially said that I was making use of my local environment to run this command, and they were not working. Yeah, they were not working. I had no idea why they were not working. So I had enough space, I had enough RAM, but it was just not working. So I had to move. To make use of AWS to do this. You can see that the commands, the necessary things to install, look at engine X and the version, everything, it's going smoothly. So, I was not having issues. But I thought to myself, this is another medium to still make a contribution because this is a problem that I faced. And I can share this problem and I can share, the solution I got from this problem. Because I was making use of my system, it was not working. It was a bit slow. The commands were having issues, this, that. So it's another, like the problem is another means to contribute because this is a problem peculiar to me. So you can never really know who might have this issue. So what did I do? I decided to share this problem again with the community. So that was another contribution again. So let me have this first. It's still running. That's fine though. So I decided to share this with the community. And how did I do it? I created a section in our troubleshooting. So you might never know. Somebody else might face this issue. And you have gone through this issue. So why can't you share it? And that's exactly what I did. I shared it. And that's how I got this. This is another match again. This is another match. And I would really like to emphasize on the fact that you can really do things from anywhere that you are. This is a community. This is a service that companies like Walmart, companies like NASA, major companies around the world are using. You know, me from my so-called little laptop, my house is, finding, debugging, making contributions. So yeah, you can really do, things from anywhere that you are. You don't really need to know everything. So just to not move away from the major point. Yeah, so I was trying to install Ironic, but it was not just working. The servers were not installing. I Okay, I really do not know what the issue was. So when I was able to get a solution, and the solution was to move my setup to AWS. I was not doing it in my remote and local environment. Sorry, anymore. So I can say something about this. I can write about this. Somebody else might have this issue. And that was how I created a session in the troubleshooting area of the doc. And what was the session? Verified creation of test virtual machines. Like I said earlier, these commands that you run, it's going to create two test instances that you're going to use to test Ironic. So ideally, what we're going to be doing is we're going to be deploying, it's going to create two instances. So you're going to use Ironic, you're going to use Bifrost to automate a command to use Ironic to tell the two virtual machines to turn on. So the issue I was facing when I was running it on my local environment was the two virtual machines were not running. They were not coming on. And there was no way to really, know that these virtual machines were not running because I don't know, nobody had, I don't want to say nobody had this issue, but I had this issue and there was no solution on the doc talk about this issue. So what's there for me myself to, create something on this issue? That was how I created another this that got merged into the community, which is what verified creation of test and virtual machines during test setup. So I added a verification check to ensure that test virtual machines are successfully created during the setup of Bifrost test environment. So this is it. Rather, let me even show it in the official document, in the official documentation of Ironic. Now this is nice. Let me duplicate this so I don't um, mm, where is it? I'm trying to go to the troubleshooting section. You can see um, what exactly I am talking about. Okay, so uh, mm, this is contributing. Okay, yeah, this is troubleshooting. Mind you, this is the official documentation of OpenStack, and these are sessions what you can do, and this verified creation of test virtual machines. Who exactly owns this? Who exactly owns this section? It's me. Mind you, this was like a week or two going into the community, and I'm already making addition. So you don't really need to be so technical. You don't really need to know everything. You can contribute along the way. Like this is I don't know about you, but this is something tangible to me. This is something you can see that you have made impact. Nobody can deny your impact, regardless of how small it is. As long as you have made contribution, it has been managed. Even the ones that have not been managed, it's been reviewed. It's something to talk about. So, you know, this is this is this is a mesh that I got from an issue. You can make your issue something tangible to use because nobody, might really know who else might face this issue. So this is something that has been measured. This is something that somebody else can use. This is something somebody else can use. Okay. Okay, great. Bifrost has successfully installed. So the next thing to do is we are going to source for the Bifrost environment. So what this does is to activate the Bifrost CLI. So once I click this, as you can see now, it's showing Bifrost CLI at the end. It's showing Bifrost CLI. So we are now inside the Bifrost command line. So the next thing to do is to export this. This basically holds it holds all the predefined details on the credentials that Bifrost will use when connecting to the virtual machines. So it holds the details. So you know what? Let's use this and let me explain what this does. So this basically provides details on the two virtual machines that are supposed to be created. Oh no, it's not over here. It's supposed to create. Ideally, your system is meant to create two virtual machines that you're going to be using. So I've exported everything. Let me go to the next step here. Sorry. We have installed. Hold on. Yeah, we have installed Bifrost CLI. Okay, so to get help, this is the command you use to see other commands that you can run. The next thing to do is let me go to the virtual environment section so we can continue with the command. So this is for if you want to make use of the Ansible playbook itself. You don't want to use Bifrost to automate the deployment. You want to make use of Ansible playbook. This is what you use. But we are not going to be focusing on this because we'll be making use of the Bifrost CLI. What is it? Am I missing something? Virtual environment. This is the pre-install steps. Quick start with the Bifrost CLI. Install Bifrost CLI. We have done all this. What is next? Is the dependencies, the ironic drivers. Going through that. That is another topic on its own. Okay, this is why we have documentation. You're not a robot, so you can visit prior documentations that you have made. I can use the official doc, but it might take more time looking for the right command. I don't have much time remaining. Yeah. That's my profile. Okay, this is my profile. Okay, so everything is up. Yeah, this part one. This is using sushi. Yeah, so this is sushi redfish, but we'll not be going into that. We just make use of this. These ironic components of ironic drivers. Yeah, so this is the database that saves your mm, ones are not here. I have to just use the official doc. Oh, I had it here, it's not here. No, it's not. Okay, this is CLI. Nope, nope, nope. Okay, yeah. Um, yeah, this should be it. These are the commands, and there's a lot that it does. For, let me just try the major commands that we have. So, bare metal list. Hmm, okay, let me create. Let's see what it does. Hmm, that's another session we gave for troubleshooting. Okay, bare metal list. Oh, 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 I'm not saying. Okay, okay. While I work on this, let me just stop sharing for now till when I figure this out. I don't know. Do we have any questions regarding open source? Is there anything we are not so clear with when it comes to open source? How do we start contributing? What do we want to know? Is there anything you'd like to verify? Please. Oh, so, report is source.
So thank you very much.
That's what I felt. That's what I felt
Hello.
going through. There's one tweet on Twitter that this week that the
Can you
impression
guys hear me?
was like it reaching a trillion views. I don't know. Did anybody see that? Anybody?
Can you guys hear me? Yeah, okay. So thank you very much. Thank you, Mr. Ayo, for taking us through that. And we get to meet our next instructor tomorrow, 7 p.m.
Yeah.
tomorrow.
I don't know if anybody wants to get the doc to be more familiar with how exactly all this thing works, how to even go about contributing their outreaching. I'll be happy to share. Sorry, I don't know why this is now happening now. That's the thing with open source. 1 minute it's working, another minute you are troubleshooting. So yeah.
So we can get the doc from you and get it across to them, like
Okay.
share it in the community. So
Okay.
thank you very much.
That's
Yeah. So have a good night.